Today we're at the video and sound studio at Grace Cathedral in San Francisco, California. I'm very lucky to be working with Dan Chiapelone, who's the person who's in charge of all production here at Grace Cathedral. And he is someone who, when he arrived, we just immediately knew things were going to be transformed. I mean, he's got a great vision for how to do audio and visual at the cathedral, and we're really, really grateful to have him. Dan,
Thank you, Malcolm.
I'm so glad that you could make time for us today.
Yeah, of course.
We're in a part of the cathedral that people just never see. You can see like all these different cameras and all the different backgrounds. I wonder if you can tell us a little bit about just what it is that you do, especially for broadcasting services.
Absolutely. Well, we're sitting in our broadcast studio here at the cathedral, which is adjacent to the garage, kind of underneath the, right above us actually is the AIDS chapel. And just over to the side is the indoor labyrinth that we love here and celebrate at Grace Cathedral. And what we do down here, this is kind of our command central. There's several miles of cable that goes from this point out to the rest of the cathedral. And it's how we record and capture audio and video, as well as control the lights for all of our services here. And that's all kind of, we're at the helm of that here in the broadcast studio.
Yeah, I mean, so for people who aren't watching, I mean, in the 1990s, Grace Cathedral was really at the forefront of broadcasting church things. It was kind of like not on television, but as the internet began to evolve, and we received a very generous gift from the Bose Foundation to support that. So we really were ahead of the game in the 1990s. And then by the time we got into the 2010s, we were getting a little bit behind. And so we started this thing called Connected Cathedral, and we bored holes in the cathedral, put in new conduit, got new soundboards, and we installed the last of the cameras in December of 2019. So we were ready to go online when COVID hit. I wonder if you can talk a little bit about what you think churches learned in COVID.
Totally. Well, I think, we obviously all experienced a lot during that time, and the whole shape of how a church connected with the congregation changed, right? It used to be you came to the pews on Sunday morning and you sat there in person and got your experience. And we see now these days that the online engagement, we're able to reach people all over the world, right, who wouldn't be able to come sit in our pews. And so I think that's one thing that is really cool about being able to live stream church. We have organ recitals that we live stream as well, services and events and concerts that we record and stream. All just really exciting things. I know, like, our regular sound bath was a live stream during the pandemic, right? So people at home could still experience a sound bath. I think even yoga was just live streamed for a while. And so, which is really just a cool experience that we were still able to provide all these same activities and services that normally were only available in person.
Yeah.
And I think the really important thing when you think about, like, why should a church live stream? There's a lot of investment that needs to go into building something like this. And I think one of the really important things is that if one more person gets church that day that wouldn't have gotten it otherwise, that's enough. Like, right there, that one person heard the word of God, they got church that day and experienced something that they wouldn't have gotten to otherwise. And so just the value of that one single person makes it all worth it.
Yeah, and it's funny, I mean, for years and years, I knew something that every church person knows, but never talked about, and that is that there is a way in which people age out of church, in the sense that they get too old and infirm to be able to make it here. And and churches never really let go of those people. I mean, we're visiting and bringing communion and things like that. But this is a way in which you can really, when our former dean died, Alan Jones, he was watching the live stream of church as he died. I mean, and we're not going to die alone in the way that we might have in the old days. We just had the consecration of a new bishop of the cathedral, and it's the first consecration and ordination we've had since 1979, because Bishop Andrus was already consecrated bishop. He was just installed as the diocesan bishop here. But I wonder if you can talk a little about the special challenges of like a really massive event where thousands of people are coming.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you plan and you plan, right? And then we were blessed with rain on Saturday, which of course throw the whole plan out the window, right? Go to plan B. But there's just so many moving parts when you deal with something like that. Such a special day, right? So many moments that you want to capture for the audience at home, and also for our Bishop Austin, who will want to go back and experience that day, maybe next week and maybe in 30 years, right? Like, and those moments now exist forever because of the abilities we have to capture it. And so there's a lot of challenges. It's a lot of microphones on a lot of different people and a lot of moving parts. And then as far as the camera moments, making sure that cameras are in position to capture those moments, and little things here or there that, you know, maybe the average viewer doesn't notice. We certainly notice those things down here, but you don't necessarily think like, oh wow, what a cool shot. But when you look at the scope of the entire service and what you're able to create, it's this dance that you go through to capture the experience for the congregation at home.
What was your favorite, like one of your favorite shots that we've used in the last?
Oh gosh, there's been some really exciting stuff. I think one of my favorite moments was from a Christmas service. Gosh, I can't remember what year it was, but it was an incoming procession, and just seeing the cathedral full, and this beautiful Christmas moment just coming through with the organ playing right up the center aisle, and you know, to just really kick off the service and what feels like that rebirth moment.
Yeah, my favorite
so
was
gorgeous.
Easter of 2024. I mean,
you Easter this year was so great.
It was amazing. I mean, you had the sense of the drum just like going up into the air, like this whole panoramic view of the
that was really
Bridge
fun.
and Berkeley Hills, and then just coming right down into it as it was happening. Like you seeing the men and boys choir like about to walk in, and you're hearing them singing. And I mean, just I loved that. It was just
well, and that's a cool thing that, you know, you don't get to see that perspective when you're sitting in the pews. Of course, it's gorgeous to be sitting here in the pews and, you know, get to hear the whole sound of the cathedral. But when you're at home, you get these other perspectives. You know, we've even seen from time to time people sitting in the pews with their phone open watching the stream to get that visual perspective counter to where they're
That's
sitting.
what happened on Saturday. So there were people who were like in the far end of the cathedral, like by the Gabbardi doors. They can't see anything that's happening up here. So there's a number of them brought iPads so they could actually see what's happening in the main part of the service. Yeah, it's really
pretty
cool.
neat. It's very exciting. It's and it's at the end of the day, like I said, it's people getting church that wouldn't otherwise, and so that just fills your heart.
Yeah, and the forum is another thing that you do so much great work for.
Absolutely.
Can you talk about like the unique challenges of broadcasting the forum every week?
Yeah, well, the forum's challenging, right? Because it's in essentially what's a gym/cafeteria, right? So it's challenging acoustically from that point of view. It's all a temporary setup, so we roll it in Sunday morning. We set up the 3 cameras and the full audio setup, and you know, it's that balance that we're always going through of making sure the live in-person experience is just as good as what we'll capture for the online audience later down the road. And that, you know, is gets recorded and edited as a video counter to the live streaming that we do from here. And so that just brings a whole host of its own challenges, but in a way it gives us a little bit of a grace period to edit or fix any mistakes that we have. We're compared to a live stream, which is you kind of get what you get, right? So you know, each has pros and cons to it, but yeah, the forum is a fun experience, and then we get to, you know, post that online as an audio podcast as well as a video.
Right. I love the audio podcast that we have. Yeah, it's the work that you do is so important, and you know, Robert Sapolsky's forum interview. I think there's like 250,000.
I think that's the top video. 250,000. It's funny. I was actually just looking at it today. I think Christmas a couple years ago was like the most, or no, Easter 2022 is like the most popular live stream, with Easter 24 right behind it, and then even the consecration has quickly climbed up that list just from Saturday. Already has a few thousand views on it, so it's just exciting. Kind of, you get to look at that stuff and go like, oh, what did people like? What was, you know, what kind of trended well, right? And those things, you kind of look at those and like, all right, how do we, you know, recreate those moments later down the line.
Do you have any dreams for the future for this? I mean, I mean, it's hard because you've done such a good job of perfecting what we do. Sometimes hard to kind of think what might be beyond that.
Yeah, no, there's so many kind of cool things where you look in the when you look at the world of broadcast and sports and the news and things like that, you see some really cool perspectives and things that they do. And one of the cool things for any baseball fans, you've seen the umpire cam show up this year, right? So I'm not suggesting really cool that you wear a GoPro on your head, you know, when you give the sermon, but you know, some of those, like, you know, we might, you know, maybe we start to see someone in the procession wear a camera, and you know, or something like that, right? Or you know, there's any number of things that you could come up with. Even a concurrent stream going on at the same time as the main broadcast that, you know, could just be of the choir, you know, right? And so, so having some concurrent streams going on that are giving different perspectives and while all going on at the same time, you know, kind of cool stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, you certainly work in a difficult environment. The acoustic of the cathedral, just so
Quite
many
challenging.
innate challenges.
Yeah.
But I'm so proud of what you do. I'm so grateful you could be on More Good News.
Yes, thank you
Today.
so much. Yeah, I appreciate it, Malcolm.
Yeah, sure thing.
Thank you.
My name is Malcolm Young, and this is Dan Chiapelone, and we're broadcasting from Grace Cathedral in San Francisco, California. Thanks for watching More Good News.